Hello, my name is Evelina Silveira with Diversity at Work Communications Training. One of my areas of specialty is anti-bullying and harassment, and I've been doing that now for over 16 years. I work one-on-one with bullies and harassers to help them change their behaviors. I do that with a combination of empathy exercises and soft skills training. I spent about 5 years as a counselor many years ago working with court mandated clients, helping them do similar kinds of changes, life changes. But I've adapted what I learned and added more information and to make it more amenable to the workplace. Now, I got to tell you, about 95% of the bullies that I see, I would say tend to be bullies outside of their workplace. So they're bullies at home and bullies with other people. But there is a small segment, I would say about 5% nevertheless, who are only bullies. I would hazard a guess, a really good guess, that they are only bullies in the workplace. And I mean that because some of the conditions that I'm hearing that people are expected to work in are just not, they're not healthy, they're not physically safe, they're not mentally safe. And we're all human. And the reality is, when we are pressed each day with very stressful environments, some people break. And I'm not in any way excusing a violent behavior, abusive behavior, because we all make choices ultimately in how we're going to behave. But I do want to give you some examples of situations of workplaces that I've encountered, because if you can identify with some of these employees are going through, you might it might help you as a manager to be more proactive, because these situations create toxicity in the workplace, and in my estimation they are easily preventable in terms of the 5% that I'm talking about. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples here, or give you a picture of what some of my clients have looked like. A man, for instance, it could be a man or a woman, really doesn't matter, working 60 hours a week or more, doing physical or life-threatening work. On top of that, they are on call 24/7. Okay, they don't get any extra pay for those phone calls at 2 o'clock in the morning. They're the expert in that area. The company has decided that they're not going to hire any more people because this guy or this woman seems to be managing all of this really well and under budget and everything. And that doesn't seem to be a problem, and they don't really want to justify hiring anybody else. And so the worker has been told, even though they've asked for help, those requests have been ignored. They've been told that, everything's fine the way it is. They're going to have to make do. They can't afford to hire other people, or they just don't want to hire them. They don't want to pay to hire anybody else to kind of ease the burden of the work. The worker sees the manager as uninterested in the job, because the manager is just in the office all the time. They might not come onto the floor, whether that's a factory floor, whether it's a human services office. It could be anywhere. It could be a hospital. They are just commanding things. But they don't, they're not interested or want to take the time to really understand the kinds of problems that workers are having on an individual basis. The worker is constantly expected to do more, of course, with less. And their work weeks, they can work constantly without breaks. Maybe they're working 10 days at a time, 2 weeks at a time. And I've heard this, people working 2 weeks at a time, 3 weeks, sometimes even longer. and it's hard for them to take their breaks during the day, their lunch hour breaks, their 15-minute breaks, because the demand for the work is so great. Then what happens is too, when they get around to booking up their time for holidays, all of a sudden they're told that they cannot go on a holiday. And you can imagine that when you work 60 hours a week, when you're getting calls at 2 o'clock in the morning and you have a family, your work life impacts your whole family, and they need a holiday too. And I've seen this happen where people have had everything booked and their family's looking forward to it and everything, and their boss says, hey, you can't go. And it's 2 days before, and there is and meanwhile, this person knows that they are on the brink of just falling apart, and they have signaled to their boss earlier in many cases that things are not right, but they're just not listening. Okay. And then the final straw is when these individuals, who are experts usually in their field, they point out that there are safety issues. And that is not listened to. I've heard of horrendous stories where these workers are responsible for the safety of other people, but the company will not make little changes that will uh, easily stop somebody from getting hurt. So this person who gets labeled as a bully, when they scream out, hey, a-hole, for instance, move out of the way or you're going to get killed, or something like that, or sends a text with vulgar language or whatever at 2 o'clock in the morning because they're really tired, they end up being the one that's a bad person. So all of these things, what I'm saying is there are signals, and managers need to be more aware of these things. They need to listen more. They need to get out of their offices more, because they can see a bigger picture of what is happening. That and so therefore, I think that a lot of this type of bullying that I'm talking about is preventable. These people, when their demands, and I think most of the time these demands or requests are reasonable, especially when it comes to health and safety issues and quality of life. Those are reasonable requests, go unmet, then we start getting people who are no longer able to function normally in a workplace because they're so stressed, and they will become reactive all the time. So I share this with you to take a look at your organization, because these are simple fixes to be more in tune with your employees. And I understand that right now this is a bigger challenge more than ever, because we cannot sense things as well with Zoom, but we have to be more alert to what's happening, and put in more requests for feedback, and get on the floor and see what's happening. Okay, because the reality is these types of circumstances that I'm talking about can lead to good people leaving, and they can easily be scooped up by other people. They can lead to extreme burnout, mental health stress, not only that, but fatalities in the long run, if these requests are not if these requests continue to be ignored. My name is Evelina Silveira. I'm an expert in anti-bullying and harassment. I work one-on-one with bullies. If you would like to learn more about my coaching, please get in touch with me. Thank you.